we're scientific advertisers and we're into direct response marketing, it doesn't matter whether we're lazy or not. If we find an angle that works, if it took us 5 minutes to do that, then awesome. If it took us 20 hours, then it is what it is, right?
Csaba Borzatti.
Começou no copywriting em 2017, com apenas 2 meses de vida financeira garantida.
Hoje cria funis de alta conversão que geram milhões em vendas.
If someone wants to learn copy, should they go to this path to learn like the classics? Should they go to the newer courses? Should they do a mix of them? Or how do you see like this copywriting journey to actually become a good copywriter in 2025?
That's a great question, actually, and I think both have their pros and cons. I would say...
What do you think is the best book that people should read, like the first one, the Holy Grail, let's say?
Dan Kennedy and Paris Lampropoulos, they usually recommend this book.
I have no idea what this book is about. I actually never heard about it.
In most competitive markets nowadays, it's hard to find a truly new, fresh, big idea. But you can go back to older prototypes. So yeah, I think definitely that's something that every copywriter should be doing. And now comes the unique mechanism of the solution. I'm gonna basically give you what I consider to be the ultimate persuasive message template and how you can customize it to a long form sales letter or VSL, a shorter form sales letter, a YouTube ad, a Facebook ad, or an email, using all the biggest insights that I learned from this.
Fala pessoal, sejam bem-vindos a mais um episódio do podcast Segredos da Escala, que é o podcast do VTurb. Caso tu não conheça o podcast Segredos da Escala, a gente traz pessoas aqui que já escalaram suas ofertas, já escalaram seus negócios, para que tu que tá em casa assistindo aqui o podcast consiga pegar 1, 2, às vezes 3 dicas, caso, na hipótese do podcast ser bom, aplicar no teu negócio e escalar ele também. Esse podcast aqui, ele foi criado pelo VTurb, que é uma empresa que eu fundei, e se tu não conhece o VTurb, nós somos uma hospedagem de vídeos 100% focada em vídeos de vendas. Então, se tu tem um vídeo de vendas, tu precisa hospedar ele no VTurb, o teu vídeo vai vender muito mais do que se tivesse hospedado em qualquer outro lugar, não só do Brasil, tá? Mas do mundo. E é por isso que hoje as maiores empresas do mundo de marketing direto usam o VTurb e confiam na nossa tecnologia, que é uma tecnologia brasileira, para aumentar a conversão dos seus vídeos de vendas. Então, se tu ainda não é cliente do VTurb e gostaria de testar, tem esse QR Code aí na tela que tu vai ter 14 dias de graça para testar o VTurb, sem falar também em 15% de desconto durante 2 meses, assim que tu se tornar cliente. Ou então é só clicar no primeiro link aí da descrição aqui desse podcast, que também vai estar lá essa promoção, beleza? Mas agora, sem mais delongas, bora pro nosso episódio. Thank you so much, man, for being here, for giving me a little bit of your time. I know that we don't know each other, but I saw your sales letter breakdown and I thought, oh my God, this guy really knows how to study copywriting. So I'm really impressed by that. I'm also a direct response copywriter, so maybe we can share something and create some valuable content to the VTurb audience.
Sure. So it's great to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's my honor, for sure. And looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you, man. So first of all, could you please just tell the audience a little bit of what you've done and what you're doing right now so people can get to know like your qualifications, what are you a specialist in?
Sure. So my relationship with copywriting started around 2017. Before that, I was working at, well, first of all, in a boring corporate job. Then I quit that. Then I started working as a direct salesperson for a wealth management company. And I were doing like 50, 60 cold calls per day and selling people, investments. And it was like I had to show up in suits. It was a very, very elegant type of workplace. But I didn't really like that much because of how the leadership looked like. And eventually I left that job. And then one of my friends here, I live in Budapest, Hungary, although I'm from Transylvania, Romania, but I'm not a vampire, I promise. Wink. But one of my friends here in Budapest, he owns an email marketing agency now, but he got started with copywriting back in 2016. And I was always interested in the psychology of marketing. I have a background in psychology. I have a bachelor's in psychology and I have an MBA as well. So business and psychology. And he was like, dude, I'm writing emails for companies and I'm making thousands of dollars with it. and this is really cool. And at first it sounded a little unbelievable, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you sure you're not scamming people on the internet or anything like that? No, 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 take a look. And then he showed me what he was doing. And after I left this wealth management company, I felt like, okay, well, this is pretty much it. I have to make this work. And I want to make this work, especially since when I left that company, well, I actually got fired preemptively before I wanted to leave, which meant I got like a lot of commissions were not paid to me, and the sales cycle was really long with the deals that we were doing. So actually, I realized that I only had like 1.5 months of living expenses back then, and I realized that okay, copywriting, I committed to this, I have to make it work.
Yeah.
And I budgeted 2 weeks for myself to just learn about it, watch a few courses, read a few books, and then I landed my first client on Upwork within like 3 weeks or something, and it was a sex shop. So it was pretty interesting. That was my introduction to copywriting.
That's awesome.
So
And when did you think that you actually got good in copy? What did you do?
well, in the beginning, as many others, like I made pretty much all the mistakes that I could. At first, and I'm sure you've also experienced this during your journey, at first you feel like you don't know nothing. And then you watch a few courses, you start to learn about it for months, and maybe you see a few results from your work as well. And then you start feeling like, wow, now I'm getting really good at this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Good. And nobody else is like, not even my family has no idea what this is. My friends have no idea. It's so slick. Like I have this unique course from this A-list copywriting guru, and now these are the secrets that are going to make me successful. But then eventually you realize that the more you learn, the more questions open up, and the more you realize how much you don't know.
Yeah.
So it took like 4 or 5 years at least to get to a level where I felt more comfortable. And during that time, I was just learning like crazy. So in the beginning, I was consuming as many courses as I could. I was borrowing courses from my other business-minded friends. I was reading books, listening to podcasts, of course, practicing the craft itself.
Yeah.
But what really made the difference was I joined Kevin Rogers' Real Free Life program. Kevin Rogers is the founder of CopyChief. A lot of copywriters,
Yeah.
get there eventually during their career, and I joined his one of his higher level coaching programs, and this was around 2020, I think, or 2019, and then another mastermind or high level program that he had. And one of the key concepts was to create authority content for yourself. And at that point, I felt relatively confident in my abilities to some degree. And I figured, like, what type of authority content could I create that is timeless, that is evergreen, that I can also learn a lot from, and that can also give a lot of value to people. And I decided to do a challenge. First, it was supposed to be a 30-day challenge, then a 50-day challenge, then a 90-day challenge, and then eventually became a 100-day challenge.
Yeah.
So this was my 100-day proven sales letter breakdown challenge, which is there up on YouTube. It's like free for all. You can just watch the videos. And I was fortunate in a way because COVID was just around the corner. So I did this during COVID, and during COVID, especially the first few months, everything was in lockdown, so there wasn't really much else to do, right?
Yeah.
So 100 days, every single day, I would just find a long-form sales letter from a true titan of the direct response marketing and copywriting industry, study it, analyze it, mark it up with my comments, and then turning on my camera and shooting a breakdown video of it, like explaining what's happening here, why this works, why this doesn't work, what I think the copywriter was planning to do there. And I think, going back to your original question, this was the key thing that made me much more comfortable and made me internalize a lot of those learning lessons from the past. Because instead of just passively consuming information or just writing copy, I had to teach it back. So then suddenly I kind of was forced to learn these things and understand these things at a way deeper level.
Yeah.
And one of the rules during this was that I couldn't edit the videos at all, because I knew that if I were to start editing them, it would take me forever and I would fail the challenge. So as soon as I hit record, I just had to talk for half an hour, even when I had like brain fog or anything like that. So
that's really interesting, man. That's really cool. There is a concept called I think it's called the Dunning-Kruger curve.
Dunning-Kruger, yes.
I think that's it. Yeah, it usually happens with people that are just learning something out. That they learn a little bit. They think, oh, I know everything. I'm the shit. I'm the best. Then they start to know what they don't know, and yeah,
Yes.
the same exact thing happened with me. And now I don't even consider myself good in copy anymore, man. I think I'm bad at it because there's just so much thing that I don't know. But one thing that I wanted to ask you is that you follow this path, which is really hard, which is to actually study like classical copywriting, study, Gary Halbert, John Caples, Gene Schwartz, these kind of guys. And I think that's really cool if you want to be like one of the top copywriters, like really know your craft, really know what you're doing. I think that you need to study this. But right now, after doing this for 10 years, my opinion is that this is a little bit of like inefficient, because you are studying like this copy from 100 years old, maybe 50 years old, which most of the times does not apply today. So maybe just buying some online course from some guru that actually knows copy. For example, Stefan Georgia, he has that RMBC course, which is very famous. Or maybe Peter Kell, Peter Q, he also has his like copy framework. John Benson also, like, he teaches how to write VSLs. So these guys, like you said, sometimes they are inventing new stuff. Most of the time they're just like applying old stuff, which basically is just the AIDA formula: attention, interest, desire, action. At the end of the day, in my opinion, all copywriting formulas, they just go back to that. But like we have these two paths to learn. We can go to the classicals, which will take a long time, and then try to apply this today. Or we can just go to these things that, like these new courses, they will not teach you everything, but I think it's more like applicable. You can actually get more results. How do you see that? If someone wants to learn copy, should they go to this like path to learn like the classics? Should they go to the newer courses? Should they do a mix of them? Or how do you see like this copywriting journey to actually become a good copywriter in 2025, which we are very close to?
So that's a great question, actually, and I think both have their pros and cons. I would say it depends on what you want to optimize for as a copywriter. So if you're after trying to quickly scale up your career, land a few clients, start generating money, then obviously going the faster route is better. And having a course which is a little bit more modern in a way, and it applies to the specifics of 2025, and especially the specific marketing channels that you want to do. So like if you want to become, a lot of people want to become email copywriters. So obviously if you wanted to be an email copywriter, the first point wouldn't be to start studying John Caples that much, because yes, the principle, but there are way more specifics when it comes to email deliverability and how to weave stories into your emails, how often to send, and a lot of other things that aren't necessarily tied with copy itself, but more like building the audience, putting great offers in front of them. So that being said, I wanted to optimize. I always felt like I'm kind of like the scholar type of person. So someone who's like a sponge and likes to just pull as much knowledge into it as possible. Because one of my ultimate goals in life is to, and this has been ever since my childhood, is to get as close as possible to understanding how the world, including the human mind, works.
Yeah.
And since I have that degree in cognitive psychology, I wanted to understand things at a much deeper level. So I would say for me, or for someone who really wants to get to the bottom of things, I would still definitely study the old masters, because they invented the game, and that's like the unfiltered version of things. And if you can see, at least in my case, I always felt like if I can see like, let's say, how Stefan Georgi teaches things inside RMBC, and that's like a fantastic course. And I think Stefan did invent new stuff with that, and
Yeah.
it's no wonder that it's so famous. It's an amazing model. But what are the key principles that he's tapping into that were invented by the old school guys, right? And I think combining those two ideally is something that will give you it will open up. It's kind of like opening up your third eye, if we want to be a little spiritual or like opening up a whole new sensory organ or something, because then you'll be able to realize. You mentioned that you like history, right?
Of
So
course.
it's kind of like studying I don't know, the Second World War, which was relatively recently in terms of history, and you can
Yeah.
learn a lot from that. But if you go back to Roman times, to the Punic Wars, for example, or many other previous wars, you're going to see that there are many similar things in terms of military strategy, how people scheme against each other, and you can take many lessons from that and apply it to today's world, let's say, with the ongoing wars right now, if you
Yeah.
were a historian. And you can make better predictions based on that.
Yeah, of course.
So
Yeah.
that's what I would say here. I think both have their merits.
One thing that is really cool right now that I actually recommend that people do is that they need to know what's working now in kinds of like what formats are working, what kind of messages are working. For example, hey, right now, 2025, what is working is TikTok ads with like a 5,000 word sales letter. Why does it work? Man, I don't know. People test it and it works. That is always happening. People are always testing new stuff. So the first thing that people should know is what's working now, what kind of messages in what kind of media. And then when it comes to the actual copy that they need to write, one thing that I think is very helpful that will make it like shorter the timeline to people actually get results is just to go to for example, an online swipe file and find out what kind of angles, what kind of big ideas, what kind of copy promises used to work in the past, and then apply this today in our world. And the
Yeah.
thing is that all these ideas, for example, there is an advertorial. I don't know who wrote this, right? But the headline was something like this: Atlanta housewife investigated and almost arrested for losing 63 pounds. So it was an weight loss advertorial. It's a crazy headline. But man, I already saw people using this in like online advertorials. And also today there's a VSL, a video sales letter running here in Brazil with this exact angle. So people just keep like getting like these 50-year-olds big ideas and then applying to today to these newer formats. And then it just keeps working and working and working. And what do you think of this approach? Do you think it's valid, or do you think people are like being lazy when it comes to their copy?
Oh, it's definitely valid. Like, we're scientific advertisers and we're into direct response marketing. It doesn't matter whether we're lazy or not. If we
Yeah.
find an angle that works, if it took us 5 minutes to do that, then awesome. If it took us 20 hours, then it is what it is, right? So yeah, I think definitely that's something that every copywriter should be doing, because we all know that big ideas are really important for VSLs, especially, or for colder traffic. And in most competitive markets nowadays, it's hard to find a truly new, fresh, big idea. But you can go back to older prototypes of so create like newer versions, or optimized versions of older ideas to today's audiences, because most audiences have definitely forgot about it, right? And I think most ideas have a shelf life. It's like with fashion, right? We all see this with like girls, and also with like suits or different types of jeans, for example. Sometimes you wear baggy. The 80s, it was all baggy jeans, for example. Then
Yeah.
in the 90s, it was slim fit jeans. And now I'm seeing here in Budapest, at least, or in most of Europe, especially women, they're wearing baggy jeans once again, right? It just has like the cyclical element to it. And the same applies to big ideas. And also, it depends on what's happening in the world right now. Like, for example, I'm sure you've heard about the End of America, VSL.
Of course.
2009, when it was written, it generated like 600,000 new paid subscribers within a few months, and then it kept working for years, and then everybody tried to rip it off. And then eventually it stopped working because everybody was trying to use the same angles and nobody started using it. But now, with what's happening in the United States right now, the more, chaos in the world generally, the more uncertainty, and there are, especially in the US, there are like, regardless of which side you are on politically, you think that the government is going to shit, right?
Yeah.
Or the country is going in a very bad place. So once again, pulling out an idea like the End of America, like the end of American hegemony, or the dollar as a reserve currency, or the gold standard. Like, what if the gold standard is going away because now the US wants to build a strategic Bitcoin reserve? You can pull out those ideas, modify them a little bit, and they're going to work great.
Yeah, yeah. This idea even worked here in Brazil. The copy was like the End of Brazil. And
Yes.
yeah, I don't know if you know this, but Agora, they have like a business unit in almost every country. I mean, not almost every country, but the countries that have like a good economy. And they tried this exact same copy in all the countries, and it just kept working. I was actually, yeah, I was a copywriter in the Brazilian Agora, like I did an internship there for only 1 month. And that's crazy that once you have a working copy, you can just like scale globally. So that's pretty cool.
That's why it's so powerful.
Yeah. So when you're actually studying like the classics, what do you think is the best book that people should read? Like the first one, the Holy Grail, let's say.
Breakthrough advertising, definitely.
People always say that, man. They always go with Eugene Schwartz. Yeah.
Yeah, although Dan Kennedy, super famous marketer, like suggested a few other lesser known books. Like, for example, there was a guy called, and I might butcher his name, Siegfried Wögele, someone from the German-speaking countries, and he did a lot of testing with direct mail and using copy for direct mail. So he also wrote a book that's very, very hard to find. And apparently some people who are real insiders at this, like, Dan Kennedy and Paris Lampropoulos, they usually recommend this book. And just to show that I'm definitely not at their level, I don't remember the exact name of the book right now. But I think it's called the Handbook of Direct Mail Dialogue Method. So it already has something called the dialogue method, which could be looked at as like a unique mechanism. But Handbook of Direct Mail, actually, I just found it in the Spanish Amazon, and it costs 312 euros.
Oh my God, man. Can you please send the link in the chat?
Yeah,
that's nice.
Because I think it's out of print for sure.
Yeah.
And here's I'm dropping the direct link in the chat as well, because the other one had some tracking too. So this one's also an underrated book, and it's on my list to read it. I was preoccupied with different things, but Breakthrough Advertising is easier to get. You can get it from Brian Kurtz if you want a print version, or you can find it online other places. Yeah. Another great book, 8 Leads, from Mark Ford / Michael Masterson. You probably heard about that as well.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
In the Agora circles, it's like, again, very well known. And that basically outlines 6 different ways that you should begin a sales message with, based on the stages of awareness and the stage of market sophistication. So that's definitely a really good book. And also, there are many other books that, I mean, do you want me to keep going with book recommendations, or you were just asking for the number one?
No, actually, I just want to, I want to talk a little bit more about that. But first, you mentioned first Eugene Schwartz, then you mentioned this other book that, man, thank you so much for mentioning it, because I have no idea what this book is about. I actually never heard about it, like the Handbook of Direct Marketing. So I'm really, Yeah, I'm really like stoked because I'll be able to study. So thanks for that. I already learned something in this podcast, something very
Awesome.
valuable. But just to create some content for the audience, why did you recommend the Breakthrough Advertising by Gene Schwartz? Why do you think it's so important that people should see it?
I mean, in a way, it might have some hype to it nowadays in copywriting circles. Eventually, you get such a big level that immediately you're like the new Bible
Yeah,
in this regard. But I think there's a big reason for that. And Breakthrough Advertising still holds up even to this day. It's not the easiest book to read, but Eugene Schwartz was the first person who really outlined a specific model for the deeper psychology of advertising and direct response marketing and copywriting. He came up with the stages of awareness, the 5 stages of awareness, and that's why we have funnels
yeah,
nowadays. Because, like, hey, you want someone, let's say, who's problem aware, you want to hook their attention on Facebook with some sort of big idea, then you drive them to a VSL and you move them from problem aware to solution aware, product aware, and most aware. Or you can do that with a webinar funnel, an email funnel, it's your choice. So that's one big concept. The other big concept would be the stages of market sophistication. So why you need a mechanism eventually, because if your market is getting exposed to more and more similar ads, eventually they become very skeptical and jaded. And then you can't just make bigger claims anymore, but instead you have to come up with a mechanism. And nowadays, every VSL has a unique mechanism. And
yeah,
then you have to fix the mechanism itself, but then eventually even that stops working. And then you have to appeal to the person's identity, and you have to use like identity politics with them and like super emotional stories and stuff like that. I think
yeah.
that's the reason why breakthrough advertising is still so popular and rightfully so.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you because to me, Breakthrough Advertising is the best book when it comes to copywriting, just because of this concept. But as you said, I think today, like it has this status of like being like some sort of a Bible in the direct response community. But in my view, and I don't know if you agree with me, I would like your opinion on that. But in my view, right now, all the markets are very sophisticated. You will need a mechanism for all of them. I don't remember seeing any market in any of my clients, for example, that people are just using straight out benefit VSLs. They usually have like a very strong unique mechanism, and they usually are also using the lead number 5 in the Great Leads book, which is the secret lead. If you go to the top ClickBank offers, you just go to the first page. All of them are using secret leads with a very strong unique mechanism. So at the end of the day, I think it's really cool, the book. It's really awesome to know where these concepts come from. But for some reason, which I don't know, people today are just going, I mean, I probably know it's working. So people are just going to one single funnel, which is like, I mean, not single funnel, but one single like concept of presenting your sales message, which is secret leads with a very strong, unique mechanism. So if at the end of the day, if you want to make more money today, maybe you should not read like Gene Schwartz. Maybe you should just find out how to make better secret leads and better unique mechanisms. What do you think about that? Do you think it makes sense? Or you think that I'm like saying bullshit and we have all these other kinds of like
I
sales
think again,
messaging
it
funnels?
depends on what you want to optimize for. If you want to go optimize for the super short term, then yes, maybe, and definitely, like despite this, always try to study your competitors if you're in a sophisticated market and see what specific leads are working with them because they might try something new and then you can iterate on that. But that being said, using a secret lead is a tactic overall. It's not necessarily a principle fundamental. And
Yeah,
if you don't know, like eventually it will stop working because everything stops working, or it might still work, but the numbers don't really make sense anymore. The cost per acquisition would be too high, let's say. And then what do you do, right? If you start to scramble and figure out what to do next at that particular moment, you might lose weeks or months not necessarily generating the money that you could be generating because you don't know what to do after that, what to do after the secret lead stops working. And Yeah, I mean now it's a popular type of lead, but there were times in the past when in certain markets and in the US market specifically, the secret lead wasn't really working that well anymore. So
Yeah.
people did a lot of contrarian leads, for example, or then they started appealing more to identity once again, and then secret always comes back. So
Yeah.
it's like fashion once again.
Got it. Got it. Cool. Yeah, right now in Brazil, secret leads is like the control. Everyone is using it. I think even in the US, is it too? At least I don't remember any of my US clients using other stuff. Yeah.
Mm.
But do you
I
know?
I've seen secret leads stop working in like when having discussions on masterminds with other copywriters and other like hot seats. I think it depends on every single person's specific situation, but for sure, if everybody has that as a control, just because of the Pareto principle, eventually, like it's gonna stop working because everybody's using that, and then everybody would be rich, but the world doesn't work like that.
Yeah, of course. Opa, desculpa interromper o teu episódio aqui rapidinho. Eu só queria te pedir, tá? Se tu quiser me ajudar aqui no podcast, que é pra tu pegar e se inscrever aqui no canal. Isso é 100% de graça, tá? Obviamente não paga nada pra fazer isso. Eu tô te pedindo isso porque eu vi que 57,8% de vocês aí que estão em casa assistem o podcast, mas infelizmente não se inscrevem no canal. E aí, cara, se tu não se inscreve, o canal não cresce, o YouTube não entrega isso aqui pra mais pessoas e a gente não consegue atrair mais convidados aqui pro podcast pra criar um conteúdo legal pra ti. Então, cara, se tu quer me ajudar, por favor, clica aqui embaixo, tá? Em se inscrever e vamos tentar diminuir esse valor aí, vamos tentar chegar nos 50%, colocar essa meta pra gente poder crescer o canal aqui do VTurb e aí trazer mais conteúdo pra ti, pra que tu possa ganhar ainda mais dinheiro, beleza? Então, de volta pro episódio. Hey man, going back to the books that we were talking about, have you heard about a book called Quick Start Copywriting System by Tony Flores?
Yes.
Have you heard of? Have you read it?
I haven't read it fully. I once found a few like outlines from it,
Got it.
and I don't remember exactly at this point what was in it because I read a lot of copywriting books at this point. But I've had many other people also mention the title over the years as well.
Yeah, so this book to me is like the best book when it comes to learning copywriting. It's actually not even a book. I think it's more like a system. It was written by Tony Flores and also Clayton Makepeace, which you probably know. He's a legendary copywriter.
I also heard of Tony Flores, yeah.
Yeah, and it has like maybe, I think, 1,000 pages or something like that. And it's very like step by step, do this, then do that, with lots of examples. And it's by far the best copywriting course / book that I read. Even better than all the classics, in my opinion. I mean, it's not like a real book. It's more like a home study course. And yeah, I just, maybe if you're in the audience and you want to learn more copy, I think you should grab this one. It's my recommendation. If you read, I think maybe you do the same. Start recommending it too because it's amazing, man. Yeah, it's like the best book when it comes to copywriting, like step-by-step processes.
By the way, Eugene Schwartz has another book that's way lesser known. It's called Breakthrough Brilliance. And in it, he teaches a lot of more advanced and more abstract micro copywriting elements, like things like how to specifically formulate your sentences, where to put the verb, how to make it more visual and stuff like that. So this is like a really hard book to get through. But if you want to get to the next level, then Breakthrough Brilliance is also a good one.
Have you read this one? The Breakthrough Brilliance?
I haven't read the whole thing. Once again, it's just I was just concentrating on other things, but I did study it and I did start to. It's hard to get through, and eventually you also learn a lot from just some courses actually implemented many things from this book. Like Todd Brown has a few high-level copywriting courses, for example, and implemented many of these things here. And I think this is a great example of what we talked about a few minutes before when it comes to should you study something newer or should you go back to the original source? In this specific case, I think it's way more productive, at least in the short term, to study someone else, like a newer guru's work who created the course based on many of these principles versus you going back there and trying to figure out everything on your own.
Yeah, got it. That's cool, man. Yeah, I never studied this book, Breakthrough Brilliance. I know that Gene wrote it, but I never studied. And also, if you're in the audience and if you want to learn more about this guy that Chaba just mentioned, Todd Brown, he has a podcast here too. It will appear on the screen right now. So after this podcast, you can check it out too. But Chaba, let's talk about how to actually write copy, man. Let's say that you're going to write a VSL, right? Or just a sales letter, a normal sales letter. What's the very first thing that you do in your process right now?
Am I writing this for myself or for a potential client?
Let's say that you're writing it for yourself.
Yeah, because I would say it has a vastly different process, because now I'm relatively niched down into what I'm doing, because I'm only writing copy for my own list, for my own email list, and I'm not working with clients anymore for a while. I just teach copy and marketing. But for myself, I already know like what's most important when it comes to the performance of a campaign. You have three big things: the audience, the list, the offer, and the creative. And Brian Kurtz, talked a lot about this. He's one of my mentors. And according to him, 41% of the total performance or the total results from a campaign come from the audience itself. Like, how good is your list? Because if you mail out a mediocre VSL to a really, really high spending, nice quality list, you're going to still make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Then the offer, which is like 39%, and 20% only the pure copy and the creative and the design and stuff like that. So I already have a relatively good idea of what my audience wants. So for me, nailing that offer audience match, which is the most important part, I would say, takes less time because I already have it formulated in my head. So I can get away with basically sitting down, putting together the offer, and just writing the copy like from start to finish in a way. And I have my own style. But if I were to start writing for someone else, let's say for an Agora style situation, I would definitely spend a lot of time first to get to know the specifics of that market, to figure out which hooks and which ideas are working currently right now. Also, which ideas have been tried over the past few months and years. And this will take a long. So like if you really want to create the control, it might take you months actually of work because it's a very competitive thing. But I would definitely spend at least a week just studying swipe files from some similar offers that are out there right now, or that have been working or that have stopped working. And I would definitely try to figure out, okay, why did the ideas that stopped working stop working? And how can I avoid that in my own idea? And then I would also take a few, like 3 of the top current ideas, find the common ground between them, and to figure out a way on how I can take the strengths from each one and then also add my little special sauce to it. And then if one of them is, let's say, weak in the benefits department, or it doesn't build enough desire, I would make sure to try to build more desire. Or if the unique mechanism is not the strongest, or I feel like based on the research, it's kind of losing its edge, then I would try to come up with a either better version of that unique mechanism, a more intriguing version, or a brand new version. And I haven't even started writing yet. That's just like the research and the thinking.
The research, yeah. But that's the most important part, right? You need to get it right. Otherwise, you mess up everything.
Yeah, for sure. So the writing part itself, once you have the ideas and the unique mechanism and the offer audience match, and you know that the guru that you're working with, like the financial guru, let's say for an Agora style company, or the product that you're promoting is like, it's good, it works, there's branding behind it, preferably. Then like writing out the sales page itself isn't the hardest part. I would say it's
easier. Oh, of course.
Or 30.
Yeah, I agree 100%, man. Just so we can get like some practical advice to people, when you're doing this research, do you have like some tool that you use? For example, you say, hey, I'm going to look at the top offers. So you could just go, for example, to ClickBank, look at the top offers, then you can get some information there. You can also, for example, go to Facebook Ads Library or Google Ads Transparency, which is like the spy tool of these ad networks. Then you can type there the keywords of your niche and then find like the VSLs or webinars or whatever that are scaling, which means the ads that are getting lots of impressions and that are running for a long time. We also have paid tools that allow you to do that. One that I use a lot is called DeepTub, which it looks like a porn site, but it isn't. It's actually just a normal spy tool, but we have lots of them like AdSpy, Anstrax. So in my process, I usually use this kind of tools to make it easier. But do you have tools that you use too, or how do you actually do it, like to get this information on your research checklist, so then you can transform this later in copy?
So I think it depends on what I want to optimize for. So are we looking at a promotion which has to beat an existing control for a very competitive company, or do we want to just create like a quick and dirty first version?
Yeah.
Or something that...
I really like this question, man. Everything that I ask you, you say it depends on what we are optimizing for, but it makes total sense. Yeah, it actually depends. Yeah, well, I would say we just want to make money, and we don't have a VSL yet. Let's say we just want to make a good VSL that we actually make sales. So maybe a cheap and dirty version.
What's the traffic source for that? Are we using cold ads for it, or do we have a partner list who are willing to promote it, like semi-warm audiences? Do we have our own list, maybe?
I think the best case would be like cold traffic, because then you can scale the most. Yeah, it's the hardest though, but
yeah. So in that case, I think we can't just get away with like a rough, quick, dirty 80-20 version. We want to like go deeper than others. So I would have actually approached this from different sides, like 4 or 5 different pillars of my research methodology. First of all, I would definitely just interview someone who really knows this market well. So if you know of a copywriter or a copy chief who, even if you have to pay them, who is like really in depth in this, like for example, if I were to create a promotion for the supplement industry, I would probably try to interview Kim Krause-Schwamm, because I know that she's an A-list copywriter who's very, very much into this type of thing.
She's coming to the podcast, man. Maybe nice. I think it's next week. Yeah.
Cheers. Shout out. She's amazing. So this was just an example. So I would try to shortcut their own lifetime experience and try to profit from it, and figure out, like, get like a high level overview of what's working according to them and what are they seeing, right? Once I have that information, I would definitely do some extra research on my own, using some tools that you mentioned. So going to ClickBank and just like seeing what the top 10 VSLs in this are doing, going to specific forums. I like YouTube comments, for example. So if you search for videos that kind of talk about the problem side of what you want to fix or what you want to sell in a product, and the potential solution side there, I would open like 10 or 20 of those videos, and based on like views in the last year, and I would scroll through the comments, and because I'm sure that we're gonna see tons of heartfelt, real voice of customer data there. So I would definitely use that as a big part of the research process as well. If I have a list, or we have a partner list that you could use, I would also survey them for sure. Send out a quick survey asking about like, hey, what's the number one biggest problem when it comes to X? Also ask a few quantitative information there, a few yes or no, a few more open-ended questions. And I would also do one-on-one interviews with people. So to go really deep, like 5 is enough, I would say. Just put out like an ad, either in like not necessarily Facebook, but if we have a warm list, put out an ad for them, which is like, hey, I'm looking for people to interview. I'm not selling anything, but if you're willing to commit 30 minutes of my time, then you get this bonus, or you can get this course for free, on that I'm willing to have like a quick, coaching call with you, or anything like that. And I would use like a specific methodology there to just discover more about their specific one-on-one situation. After I have all this, depending on how much time I still have, I would preferably probably spend a lot of time thinking about it myself. If I had an assistant, I would give all this stuff to the assistant. Clayton Makepeace used to do this, for example, all the time. Like she would hand these over to other copywriters in his. He would send give this to other copywriters on his team, and then what the copywriters did, they did the thinking and the connection, and then they came back to Clayton and said, okay, so based on the research, here are the top 5 problems, pain points, desires, false beliefs that they have, custom stories that they usually have, moments of highest tension, or horror stories from competitors or products. Here's a bunch of testimonials. Here are specific voice of customer data. And then I would start to assemble my structure based on that. If I didn't have that, I would probably use AI in a way. So I'm not I wouldn't consider myself an expert at AI at all. I barely use it, almost.
Yeah, me neither.
Use it at all. It has its merits, especially when it comes to research. But again, I think it would be very, very helpful to just dump that hundreds of pages of data into AI and let it kind of crunch it and create like a more easy to study outline out of it or something. But just be careful, because overall, like AI, at this point, most AI models don't really have new high quality information to be fed with. So they're very vanilla, they're very boring, and they kind of like aggregate all sorts of boring B2B text in a way. And I'm sure that a lot of listeners have also seen this. When you ask AI about something, it always gives you like very generic, boring stuff.
Yeah, I agree. One thing that I would add, since we're talking about this AI stuff, is that you can also, for example, get all these VSLs in your research, transcribe them, then just give to ChatGPT, and then just ask it, hey man, hey chat, what do you think about this person that is reading this VSL? Who is this person? What do they believe? And then from the VSLs, you can like extract a lot of good, useful information, and also information that is working right now, that is actually making sales right now. So you can really get to the pain points, because at the end of the day, the VSL is the final product, the final content that people made after researching everything. So it's a very useful thing to study. And also, man, I don't know if you do that, but I would like to give this tip to the audience, and maybe even for you. One thing that helped me a lot when it comes to doing this research is to just like read books that my prospect wrote about themselves. So for example, I had like a skincare brand here in Brazil. It's like City Beauty by Golden Hippo, but in Brazil. It was called Giatena. It's a bad name, I know, but whatever. And there's a book in Amazon called Face It, What Women Really Feel Has Their Look Changed. And man, that book, it's amazing. It talks like how women really feel when they get the first wrinkles, how they feel like invisible, how their partners don't love them anymore, don't find them beautiful, how they think that their life, like their best life is already over, now they're going to suffer. So and we have books for everything. We have books for weight loss, for like the pain niche, like arthritis, diabetes. If you go to the Amazon bookstore, to the Kindle store, you can find books on all sorts of things, also all sorts of niches, and you can just put all these books into ChatGPT, and from there you can extract all this good information. So to me, that's one of the most valuable research tips, because man, they wrote a fucking book about it. They thought about it, they revealed stuff, and then they wrote a book just to give to you everything that they're feeling. So you can just read everything. So yeah, to me, that's amazing.
That's an amazing tip for sure. And if you're listening to this as the audience, definitely take that tip to heart, because that's one of the best ways to shortcut what people are really, really feeling.
Yeah, I like it. And also, man, so sorry, go ahead.
One thing I add to this is that, well, that's why if you really want to create a VSL, then you have to, like, ideally you want to hire a copywriter, or if you're doing it yourself, you should have at least like 5 to 10 years of experience in the specific market that you're selling into, because otherwise it's not going to work. Like, you would have to have that copywriter spend months reading books like what you just mentioned in order to really understand that. And I think that's why a lot of A-list copywriters are so expensive if you want to hire them, because like they've been doing this for 30 years and they remember all the controls over 30 years that have worked, that have stopped working, and they know, like, they have the experience. It's just like a heart surgeon, right? Like, if you had to go to a heart surgeon, you wouldn't just go to any doctor, you would go to someone who has a lot of experience with this.
Yeah, of course. I agree. But I also, I mean, I sort of agree. If you want like the best thing, of course, you need to go to an A-list copywriter. But as you said, I think we can do a cheap and dirty version of it and make some money. Not a lot of money, but just a little bit of money. Just seeing what's working out there. At least, I mean, we have over like almost 7,000 clients. I mean, most of them, they don't know shit about copywriting, but they know how to run the business. So they think, okay, my video needs to have this promise here and then needs to have this thing. They just grab that RMBC copy script and they just follow it. The copy sucks, but they make like 10K a month and they like super happy with it. So yeah, if you're just starting out, you'll not make millions, but at the end of the day, you can make a living out of it. You can make some money and, you know, be happy, do your thing.
Yeah, that's a great point. And like, I was referring to the best case scenario. Like, if
Got
you
it.
really wanted to like a $10 million control or something. But of course, like, I don't want to scare your audience into thinking, oh my God, I'm not even going to start because it takes this much work. This is the best case scenario. That's what I would do.
Awesome. So Chaba, after you do, the point to do the research, okay, in my thinking, is to find out just what people want and what do they believe. I mean, if we could get like in a nutshell, I would say that, because then you need to like promise, hey, you will get what you want if you read this. And this promise needs to be believable. So you need to know what they actually believe, because if they don't believe something that you're going to say, you should not just say that. For example, if they think, hey, like this, like CrossFit for weight loss doesn't work, so you cannot promise like you lose weight with CrossFit. It needs to be something that either they already believe or something new that they can believe, and then you need to have proof to do that. So in my thinking, the point of research at the end of the day is just to find out these two things. And of course, that takes a lot of work. You need to interview people, you can read books, you can do all these things. Do you agree with that, or do you think there's more to it when it comes to research?
I mean, in a way, yes, I do agree with it. I would add a few more elements. I would also want to find out, like their pains and fears. I would want to find out not just what they want, but also like what are their key desires, what are their unfulfilled needs, because there might be some difference between their beliefs, definitely, beliefs about themselves, beliefs about other solutions, beliefs about other companies, false beliefs. And also things that make their identity. So like how they, but I think in a way that's tied in with beliefs. Yeah. So we can slice it and dice it. Ultimately, we're talking about the same things. Yeah. I would just try to categorize it based on a few other different factors.
Got it. Awesome. Opa, desculpa interromper aqui o teu podcast, tá? Eu só queria te dar uma mensagem aqui super rápida. Cara, se tu tem um vídeo de vendas, então tu precisa hospedar esse vídeo aqui no VTurb. O VTurb é não só a melhor hospedagem de vídeo de vendas do Brasil, mas também do mundo inteiro, e ele vai, sem dúvida alguma, aumentar a tua conversão. Então tem um link, tá, aqui embaixo nos comentários aqui, e aí tu pode ir ali, clicar ali e já criar tua conta do VTurb. Tu vai receber daí um treinamento pra tu fazer isso, e tu vai poder aumentar a conversão do teu vídeo de vendas ainda hoje, tá, pessoal? Então, cara, clica aqui embaixo, faça tua conta no VTurb e te espero lá. Valeu e bom podcast. So, let's say that our friend here in the audience, they already did their research, so they know a little bit of their niche, of what's working now, what kind of format, in what media. What's the second step that you do and that you think that they should do too? Like you go to structure the mechanism, or you go to write a headline, or, I mean, what do you do?
So once I know the exact ideal customer avatar that I'm speaking to, and I've identified the stages the stage of market awareness that I want to catch them in, and the level of market sophistication that they're probably in. And I know what the competitors are doing, and I have that gathered all in one place. I would next find a big idea. So I would try, all based on that information. I would spend the next chunk of time just figuring out ways and putting out a big quantity of ideas that I think could be a great big idea for this campaign. And then once again, I could use ChatGPT to help me with the creative process as like an assistant in a way.
Yeah.
And then try to narrow it down and then figure out one big idea that I feel happy with before writing anything else.
Just a question about that. I don't know to you, man, but to me, I find this big idea concept very, like, how can I say that? Maybe hard to understand, maybe fuzzy. Like it looks like it doesn't have like a clear definition out of it. And to be honest, in my copy process today, I don't even use big ideas because I don't really find them helpful. So in your view, what do you think is this big idea? Why do you need it, and how do you usually find it?
Well, I think it goes back to Eugene Schwartz in a way. So if one of the key concepts, once again, in breakthrough advertising, Eugene Schwartz said that you cannot really create desire for a product. You can only take the hopes and dreams and fears and desires that already exist in the hearts of people in your audience and focus that onto those desires onto your product. So your task as the copywriter is not to create mass desire, but to channel and direct it. So basically, what the big idea is it's hard to put a key definition on it because I don't think in the Encyclopedia Britannica there's like a definition for a big idea. But for me, what that would mean is that what's the one message that will for sure hook people and make them feel like, wow, like this is different and superior compared to anything else I've seen before. It also ties in with the unique mechanism, of course, but gives people new hope. They feel like, wow, I haven't heard this before. I want to learn more. No way, that can't be possible. Wow, like this could change everything. So that's kind of like what a big idea is. And I know that by definition, it's an idea. It's hard to define it. Yeah. And then the line itself is how you communicate that big idea in a sexy way. So the headline, and you spend a lot of copywriting effort in coming up with a great headline, but that should express the big idea. And then the lead sparks curiosity and builds more desire for people to learn more about the idea. So that's the trailer for the sales letter itself. Yeah, that's how I look at it. Does it make sense?
Yeah, I of course, yeah. When I read about big ideas, that's like what people usually say, like these kind of definitions. And from that, my takeaway is that we can like define the big idea just by completing the phrase. The copy talks about X, and this X, in my view, is usually the big idea. And if we use this, like most of the copies, they just talk about how people can do certain thing in a certain way, like with this kind of mechanism. So to me, at the end of the day, I think that the big idea is just like a different name for the mechanism, because like, for example, if you have like a weight loss VSL where you talk about like the discovery of the root cause of weight loss, and then at the end of the day, this root cause is the mechanism, and then you just present it in your headline, in your lead, you talk about this, then you actually talk about in the mechanism itself. So yeah, that's like my definition of it. Like the big idea is just the mechanism, and the better the mechanism, the better your big idea, the more people will believe your message. And then the lead and the headline is just a way to present like the preview, the trailer of the mechanism, so you can hook people to your message, so they will consume the message, so they will stop desiring their desire, and they will start desiring like the mechanism. And they at the end of the sales letter, since they are desiring now the mechanism, you can just sell it to them in the offer section. And yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, that's what I did because like this big idea was very fuzzy to me. So to me, I just think, okay, what's the mechanism? Is this one? All right, so that's what I'm going to talk about in the lead, and that's it. I don't know if it's like wrong or anything, but after reading a lot, that's what I like. That was like my discovery, you know?
I think it's not wrong. Like there's no such thing as wrong. If it works, it works. Um, I think it depends again on like how skeptical the market is, because if they're stage three market sophistication, the fact that you have a unique mechanism itself and that sounds unique can be the big idea in itself, because that's
Yeah,
different. But eventually, if you wanted to sell like internet marketing in the most competitive US markets, you can no longer get away with that. So you need something that is a little detached from your unique mechanism. So a few examples that come to mind that I really loved when I was doing the sales letter baydown challenge was um, there was so even if we go back to the end of America, for example, that has nothing to do with the unique mechanism there. But the big idea was the end of America, and it connected with people because they thought that America was supposed to be the shining city on the hill, the beacon of light, the hegemony, the best thing ever. And then, what do you mean the end of America? And it tapped into the fear that people were already experiencing. Or the famous sales letter, they laughed when I sit down at the piano, but then I started to play. Again, has nothing to do with the mechanism, but it has a big idea, which is tied to the redemption story that many people experienced in their lives when they were looked down upon and they were ridiculed, and then they came back a few years later, let's say to their hometown, and then suddenly people realized, wow, this guy made it.
got it.
So that emotional state is a big idea. Or there was another example, Canadian Social Security. I don't know the exact headline, but the biggest part of the headline was called like the secrets to tapping into your own Canadian Social Security as an
Yeah,
American. And there, it has nothing to do with Canada or Social Security, but it has to do with buying stocks that pay you dividends, right? And then eventually, if you have enough stocks and you get paid enough dividends, it's kind of like having your own Social Security or your own retirement payments, just like they have in Canada.
got it, got
Or
it.
should I give you one more example, or do you think it's enough?
No, I think I got it. The thing is,
Okay.
I think that this, I mean, the John Caples headline there, I don't know if it's a big idea, to be honest. I think it is. But all this talk about big idea, I think it got very popular, sorry, because Agora, they needed a process to create a lot of copy fast because they are very, very big. And then in the financial niche, I think you can do that pretty easily because there's always something happening. So right now, Trump got elected. So people will say, hey, Trump got elected. So America will end. You need to save your money. Or Trump got elected. America will make a lot of money. You can make even more money
Yes.
right now. So everything that happens, they can create a copy about it to deliver the very same benefits. So that's why they use this big idea process a lot because it works for them. But if you're selling, for example, weight loss or any other niche, then I think it's really hard to find these ideas because there's not much happening, you know. And that's why in other niches, I don't think that's that useful. But in the financial niche, of course, I mean that's the only way to do it if you need a lot of copy. Something happened, this something that happened will make you money or will make you lose money. Here's how to protect yourself, or here's how to make even more money. And but in the other niches though, I think that doesn't happen a lot often. I mean, I don't know. As I say, I'm not the
Uh,
best copywriter, but these are my observations when I look into these niches.
Neither am I. It's a good point what you're making, and obviously, yeah, it came from the Gore companies, and maybe they sold the idea. The whole big idea behind the big idea was that this is such a cool. But and in a lot of cases, you don't need that. But then again, like originally when we started this copy process discussion, we were focusing, I think, on like if I wanted to create something really, really good, I would still try to find at least something that I consider a big idea. It might not be at an Agora level, but it might still be some sort of big idea. Like in fitness, when you had like P90X, it was a fitness system there. They had the unique mechanism called muscle confusion, which really sounded like, wow, this is a truly different way to get what I really want. And now it makes sense why I wasn't able to lose weight before. But I don't know whether they had like a specific big idea. Maybe the mechanism was just enough.
Yeah.
I would still spend probably a day or something thinking about this. And this is actually like, as you get other like A-list copywriters on the podcast, ask them the same question.
I will,
And I'm
man.
really
I will.
if you get the really heavy hitters who are the best at the industry, like what do they think about this? Because I'm sure they can answer it more, but this is a very interesting, topic. Do you need one? Do you not need one? How much do you need one? Probably for people who are getting started more or who don't necessarily want to get at a super deep level with copy, having the unique mechanism itself is the big idea. And especially if you're a market which is like yoga or yoga in Brazil or something that isn't really that super sophisticated in terms of marketing.
Yeah. Well, since I'm a copy nerd, don't worry, man. I will do that. I will do that for you and for me too. I will ask Ken Krause-Shaw. He's going to be here. Brian Kurtz is also going to be here. And you know someone that I'm
Chaba prompted you this question because I'm really curious what Brian says to that. Yeah.
Oh, awesome. I'll ask him. And you know someone that I'm trying to bring. I don't know if I will make it, but if it works out, it will be my dream. But I sent an invite to Gary Bencivenga. So yeah,
I knew you were going to see him. Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome.
If I can get him on the podcast, man, I think I'll start crying because he's really my hero. He's like, to me, the best copywriter ever. He's awesome. I learned so much from him.
Actually, Gary Bencivenga has the famous marketing bullets as a free resource that he has. It's also one of the best books that you could read, although it's not a book on copywriting. Now that we talked about this, maybe it's worth revisiting it and see what he says about the idea, because I'm sure he talks about the big idea there.
I think so, yeah. I remember that he said that he quoted that thing by David Ogilvy, like if your advertising doesn't have a big idea, it passes like a ship in the night or something like this. I don't remember. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But anyway, getting back to our little process here, after let's say that you have a big idea, right? What do you do next? What's the next step?
So once I have that, it's pretty much developing the unique mechanism itself. So Stefan Georgi's process for that is perfect. I don't think you need to like necessarily deviate from that if you don't want to. Just find the unique mechanism of the problem, find the unique mechanism of the solution. Use the templates in RMBC if you want, and then tie that in with the big idea.
Yeah.
And then just start writing.
Or
lay out the thing.
One thing that I find out when I was studying Stefan's framework, I even talked about this with him. He was actually the first guest in my podcast. If you go to the Vitor podcast on YouTube, but that's in our Brazilian channel. This podcast here will be in both our Brazilian channel and also our English channel. And one thing that I found out that I would like to get your opinion on is that this unique mechanism of the problem, it usually works best when you are like in a health niche, because like in a sales letter, it usually goes like this, right? You grab their attention, you say, hey, read this. Then you say, hey, this is me, this is my story. Then you create like authority and credibility. And then after you say, hey, to get the benefit, you need to do X. And this X thing that you need to do in the health niche is usually solving the root cause of the problem. So they say, hey, if you want to lose weight, you need to solve your slow metabolism. Here's how to do it with the unique mechanism of the solution. And if you want to rejuvenate, you need to supply collagen to your skin. Here's how to do it with this collagen supplement. So there's usually a problem attached to it. You need to solve this problem. But if you're like in a make money niche, there's usually not a problem. For example, you don't say, hey, here's why you don't make money with email. Usually you just present the opportunity. You say, hey, here's how you can make money with email, and that's it. And then you say, here's like this specific method, which is the best one to help you make money with email. So in my view, this unique mechanism of the problem usually works best with health and sometimes with relationships. But when it comes to making money, the make money niche, I think it doesn't work that much. And that's why Agora, they don't use it. They just like present the opportunity and they just tell them how to do it. What do you think about that? Do you think it makes sense, or do you think like the RMBC just works for everything and that's it?
I think, again, as a principle fundamental, you could apply it to pretty much anything if you want. Maybe you have to think a little harder, but like a sudden example I could come up with in the make money online niche, like let's say you're targeting people who are more beginners on average, and they want to, like coaches, consultants, whatever, and they want to make more consistent monthly revenue because they have a lot of feast and famine, and that's not good for them. And then the unique mechanism of the problem would be, well, you're not making any money because you're focusing too much on social media, and everybody told you to focus on social media, but actually that's bullshit. Instead, what you need is an engaged email list. And with the specific method that I teach, you can build an engaged email list quickly without paying for ads and without, I don't know, messing up your deliverability or sounding too salesy or something.
Yeah.
So that could be a unique mechanism of the problem and solution, one after the other, but it only works in a specific context, right? And I think this is again true with regarding big ideas and unique mechanisms in general. It only works when that, like if I have a more sophisticated audience for this example who already is doing email marketing, they know that they should be doing email marketing to generate more money from it, and they know that they can get more consistent revenue out of it, so it wouldn't work that much. In that case, you would have to come up with a more sophisticated. In that case, maybe the unique mechanism of the problem would be something like, well, you're sending, yes, everybody told you to start sending daily emails, and you're doing that, and you're spending so much time on it, but it's not working. And the reason why it's not working is because your email deliverability sucks and most of your messages are going to spam. And then the unique mechanism solution would be, well, everybody told you to write a bunch of emails, but nobody told you how to make sure that your text side is properly set up with this, or like with specific, words to exclude from the emails or whatever.
Got it. Yeah, it makes total sense, man. Of course. I think it's just a little bit harder to use the framework because you actually need to have this thinking, to think a little bit more. And you also need to actually find a problem that people will believe that they have, right? Otherwise, it will not work. So if they're not doing like social media, for example, or if they don't even think, if they see that, hey, actually my emails are getting delivered, so it's a little bit hard to convince them of the problem, I think. So yeah, but yeah, so that's awesome, man. So Chaba, I would like to thank you I would like to say thanks to you to opening up your copy process here. And as I say to you, I really like talking copywriting and learning from other people. And yeah, from all these guys that are coming here, don't worry, I will try to extract everything from them. We are doing this online, so we have like less time, around 1 hour. But I think next year, 2025, I'll go to the United States and meet these guys live, so we can have like a live podcast here, a long form podcast, like 2-3 hours. It will be awesome. But I would like to thank you so much for giving me a little bit of your time. And also for the people that want to know more about you, want to learn from you, maybe become your clients, how can they get in contact with your content, with your like product? What should they do?
Sure. So I do most of the content production nowadays to my email list. So all the best stuff that I publish is for my email subscribers. So the best way for you would be to get on my email list, and you can do so. Well, if you don't want to get on my email list, let's start with that. Then I'm sure we're going to include the link in below this video, but you can just check out the 100-day proven sales letter breakdown challenge on my YouTube channel. There's no opt-in required or anything. You just click the link, you go to the playlist, and there's like 100 hours of really, really high quality copy breakdowns. And that's how you also found me. So I think you also vouch for it, that it's high quality. But if you want to go one step further, because obviously a lot of people notice the unique mechanism of the problem. Obviously, a lot of people don't have the time to watch 100 hours of content on YouTube, no matter how good it is. So that's why I've put together a cool little cheat sheet for you called the Secret Copy Recipe. And this is basically my top biggest insights from breaking down these proven sales letters of all time. And you can get it by going to gameofconversions.com. So almost like Game of Thrones, gameofconversions.com/copywriting-secrets. And in this, and now comes the unique mechanism of the solution, I'm gonna basically give you what I consider to be the ultimate persuasive message template and how you can customize it to a long form sales letter or VSL, a shorter form sales letter, a YouTube ad, a Facebook ad, or an email, using all the biggest insights that I learned from this. So that's how you create the unique mechanism of the problem and solution right away in the CTA section.
Awesome.
So really cool. If you want to get my free book called The Rapid Lead Activator, this is more email themed. So the first one that I mentioned is aimed at people who are interested in copywriting and the psychology behind marketing messaging. If you want to get my free book, which is about what I consider to be the best 5 follow-up emails you should send new email subscribers, then just get my book on gameofconversions.com/RLA. So the letters RLA, Rapid Lead Activator. And then once again, 2 ways to get on my list. And then if you want to work with me personally, or if you're just gonna chat or anything like that, just reply to one of my emails. That's the best way. I do conversational marketing. I believe in them a lot. So reply to one of my emails. We can start a conversation. And if it makes sense to work with you one-on-one or join my high-ticket group implementation program, Front End Freedom, then we can also talk about that.
Awesome. So guys, all the links, they will appear here. They will be on the description, right? And also in the comments. So if you want to learn more about Csaba, how he works, how to create better copy, better emails, you have all these links down here. So go there, click it. And if you like the podcast, here's what you should do. Click the like button so people will see this podcast more. This will be awesome for us. We'll be able to invite more people here to create more content for you. And that was another episode of the Vitor Podcast. Thank you so much, guys. See you. Cara, muito obrigado aí por ter assistido aqui mais um episódio do Segredos da Escala. Se tu gostou do episódio, não se esquece, tá, de curtir aqui esse episódio, de se inscrever no canal do VTurb pra tu receber aí mais episódios aí na tua caixa de entrada. Isso é muito importante pra gente, e se tu fizer isso, eu te garanto, tá, que eu vou trazer os melhores convidados aqui pra passar conteúdo pra ti, beleza? E se tu tá procurando aí mais episódios aí pra assistir, cara, eu vou deixar 2 episódios aqui, tá, em algum lugar aqui da tela aqui, dos Segredos da Escala pra tu ver. Então clica ali, vê eles, tá, assiste também, vale a pena. Grande abraço e até mais.